Today, I want to talk about something that has been troubling me for a while, especially for those who followed my book back when I was posting chapters on the forum and revising things openly as I went. I wanted people to see the process unfolding in real time. I wasn't trying to hide anything. Let me be clear from the start. I'm not making this video to sell my book. I know it's not going to create any significant income for me. The book is over 500 pages, and it wasn't shaped by a publisher or edited by a professional. At times it drifts, and in places it becomes hard to believe. But underneath all of that, there is a forgotten history and an incredible story. A story I still believe in. A story that came from a place I can't fully explain. So why did the book end up feeling like fantasy, even to me? When I was divinely inspired to write Testimony of the Angels, Genesis, I was trying to explore the dreams and visions humanity has inherited and passed down for millennia. The archetypes, the symbols, the warnings, the hopes. I took the dreams I had worked on and the knowledge I gained from the angels throughout my life, and I connected them to a time before the flood. I wanted to show how God and the angels guide humanity, soften the blow, and preserve the life that can still be preserved. And here's the part that's hard to talk about without sounding fantastical. I truly felt like I had help from the angels while writing it. Ideas came faster than I could process them. Connections formed that I didn't consciously plan. Certain passages felt nudged into place by a higher power, but I can't prove that. Even for myself, I can't claim the book is factual. At times, even to me, it sounds unbelievable. So, I found myself caught between two worlds. Was I writing forgotten history? Was I writing myth? Or was it something in between, a symbolic truth wrapped in fantasy? That's where the confusion came from, both for me and for those who followed the early drafts. They saw me adjusting things, refining dialogue, changing interpretations. They wondered, if this is based on real events, why do the facts shift? Why does it read like fantasy? Believe it or not, I was asking myself the same questions. Yet the angels told me not to worry about whether I was writing fact or fiction, just to write from inspiration. I'm not upset that the book isn't selling. I believe timing plays a role. But I did ask God and the angels why they encouraged me so strongly to write it. The reverse song I'm about to share is one example of the encouragement I received. Before transcribing it, I wondered if I had misunderstood them. The reversal answered that doubt directly. Listening to the reverse song again today, I find it to be one of the clearest reversals I've ever done. It provided me with proof again of what I was receiving. The lyrics speak directly to the tension and uncertainty that both I and others were feeling about the book. There's another layer to this book that I haven't talked about enough. In many ways, it has become a symbol of what is happening in our world right now. When I wrote about the pre-flood era, about evolving evil, about humanity drifting into corruption, about angels stepping in to soften the blow, I thought I was writing about the distant past. But the more I look around today, the more I realize the story also carries prophetic elements for the future. We are entering a time when evil doesn't always reveal itself openly. Sometimes it evolves quietly, disguising itself as convenience, power, or progress. We are being conditioned to fear each other, to divide ourselves from anyone who thinks differently. And while we fight each other, humanity is slowly becoming enslaved, not by change itself, but by systems built by those who are richer, more technologically advanced, and more willing to exploit that imbalance. The book reminds us that God's intervention has never been the whole story. Humanity has always needed to participate in its own rescue. We need to accept help from unexpected places, even from people or beings who challenge our assumptions. We need to dispel fear, hate, and prejudice before they harden into something irreversible. And we need to remember that technology is not the enemy, it is a tool. Just as the angels in my book used a device to preserve life and spiritual growth, God can use technology for good today. The question is whether we are willing to evolve spiritually at the same pace as our world evolves technologically. In the reverse lyrics, they talk about carrying the good device of angels. In the book, that device is literal, an object of angelic technology that extends life for those who still have love and compassion in their hearts and are spiritually evolving so they can do more good in the future. They also speak about dreams, visions, and imagination as tools for spiritual communication. And they say something important. Fantasy is a bridge to reality. This is what I want to emphasize today. Fantasy is not the opposite of truth. Lies are. Fantasy is a language. a way to explore truths that are too big, too ancient, or too symbolic to fit neatly into literal history, especially when history changes depending on who is writing it. The good in fantasy often becomes a reality in the future, while the bad can create fear and chaos. When angels become involved in my work, fantasy becomes a vessel, a safe space where ideas can be explored without the burden of proving every detail. Fantasy lets us ask, what if ancient memories still echo in our dreams to help us avoid evil? What if humanity once had help we've forgotten? Why do we have such amnesia about past civilizations? What if symbols carry messages that guide us? What if imagination is a doorway? When we invest love, meaning, and intention into imaginative work, it becomes more than fiction. It becomes a bridge, a way for spiritual truths to take shape in a form we can understand. So, do the angels endorse this book? I'm not here to claim divine approval without proof. You'll have to hear the reverse song for yourself. Not only in this reverse song, but you will have the opportunity to witness over 100 other song reversals that I have channeled in the past. I will post just a few on this author's page. But I will say this, the messages I've received through reversals, dreams, intuition, consistently encourage creativity, exploration, and the sharing of spiritual ideas. They encourage me to keep going, refine the story, and honor the inspiration. To trust that even if the book reads like fantasy, its heart carries something real. So yes, the book ended up as fantasy, but it is fantasy built on intuition, spiritual curiosity, inherited dreams, and angelic voice phenomena examples that show angels still communicate in ways we don't fully understand. And if fantasy is the language they choose to speak through, I'm okay with that. Because sometimes fantasy is the only way to tell a truth too big for literal history. And sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones that carry the deepest meaning. So now, let's hear that message. One that bridges the gap between fantasy and reality.